Hey there, Capricorn, and welcome to your January 2020 Creativity Tarot reading. My name is Kayleigh Jean, and welcome to my channel. I record these readings for artists, entrepreneurs, creatives, and anybody who's working on their self-expression or their spiritual growth and personal growth in any way. So definitely keep listening if any of those areas of life are intriguing to you right now. And I also wanted to quickly remind you that you can use these readings for your sun, moon, or your rising signs. So it's normal if sometimes, if one of them doesn't resonate, you can always try one of your other ones. And it's also possible that sometimes they don't resonate at all, especially in the beginning of the month. What I hear from people a lot is that actually by the end of the month, the reading tends to make a lot more sense. So definitely keep that in mind and maybe save this video for later if you want to come back and explore that a little bit. Okay, Cap, while I was tuning in for you during the meditation, I had a couple of images coming through, and the first one was of a sidewalk, okay? And then there's this grass, like green grass, growing up through a crack in the sidewalk, and I was almost kind of being shown in kind of like an image or a visual that was sort of moving of this grass kind of breaking up the cement and sort of coming up and yeah, just essentially it's like a new life coming in, and it represents I want to say that something inside of you is maybe coming alive a little bit more right now. And that can be exciting on the one hand, and at the same time it can also be jarring because it can represent like a disruption in the normal like routine of your life, right? Because before the grass kind of and the earth and the life started breaking up the sidewalk, it was just, kind of the way that it was supposed to be. It had this kind of order to it that was intentional, and then this kind of new life coming in starts to break that up or starts to shake up that system. So that was the first thing, and it kind of made me feel this very earthy energy for you. I'm not sure if this is specific to January or if it's part of what this year is about and what kind of a lot of the astrological energies are about for you at this time. You do have a lot, and I'm sure you've heard that. If you listen to any other readers, there's so much influence on the Capricorns right now. Like you're really front and center on the cosmic stage with just a massive stellium in your sign at the moment as I'm recording this. You also have Mercury in your sign now, and we also have the Saturn-Pluto conjunction happening in your sign on the 12th of this month. And then there's also this eclipse, which is, opposing you. It's a lunar eclipse at 20 degrees of Cancer, which is opposing your sign and all of the, power planets within it, opposing that on the 10th. So lots and lots of energy for you right now. But what I was really getting from this visualization, so the second part of it was that I was actually seeing the caduceus, the cross with the two snakes winding around it that has so much to do with healing, and it's a symbol that you often see, attributed with multiple different Greek deities, but you do see it often with the god Mercury, or like the Hermes, the Hermes Mercury archetype is sometimes depicted holding this, and that was really the mythic aspect that came through the strongest for me with that symbol. So this could be particularly relevant for those of you Capricorns who are involved in the medical field in any way, like if you're a nurse or if you're an alternative type of healing practitioner even, or anything that is healing related, even psychotherapy or counseling, coaching, all of that. So if you're a Capricorn healer of any kind, this time period for you is going to be really significant. You're going to see, I want to say, advancements in your craft and maybe changes to your industry as well. And you're probably going to see doors closing and also doors opening, so that you can do your work in the most influential and effective manner, okay? So that was coming through. I also feel like for some of you, this is about self-healing, and the snake energy that I was getting in the symbol, like they almost felt like they were kind of like they had just become uncoiled. So there could be something having to do with maybe even Kundalini, if you're activating Kundalini through that yoga practice. There could also be just some sense of rebirth going on for you personally, Capricorn, that is really representative of, like I was saying before, an unconscious or a deeper part of yourself that is sort of waking up and then, you know, shaking up a little bit of the order of your life. So let's go ahead and take a look at your cards, and we'll get some more insight into kind of how this may play out. Okay. So this awakening, I'm also being guided to say, like, this awakening could have a lot to do with awakening your intuitive gifts as well. Like some of you could be working with your psychic ability, if that's a factor in your life, or you could be working with, I want to say almost, yeah, anything intuitive, even like mediumship, or, you know, something that is coming from unusual senses or unusual sensory perceptions that you have. Okay, so we have moth, interesting, and bat. Wow, so two nocturnal creatures, right? That strikes me right off the bat. This is a powerful and very deep month for you, Cap. With moth as your path. And this is amazing too, because here's the moon, okay? And one of you guys some time ago, I've been doing these readings for years now, but one of you guys some time ago said that the moth is the butterfly of the moon. And I absolutely love that quote. I'm not sure where that's from, but I think that's an absolutely beautiful describer of the moth. Is almost like the nighttime butterfly. And so it does very much touch on this idea of transformation that we see, you know, that we're just seeing in the meditation, and kind of developing further along the symbolism. Even the green, you know, is coming through here. So there's a lot of, like, you know, depth that we could go into with these cards. But essentially, these are both winged creatures. They're nighttime creatures. They're almost mysterious. Like, there's something about a moth that kind of feels mystical in a way. And same with bats. I mean, almost bats are a creature that seem like they just hold a lot of secrets. And I mean that literally from a biological perspective. I'm sure that we have a lot of good understanding of what a bat's existence is from a biological scientific perspective, but I'm sure that there's also a lot more that we could learn about them. They just seem to be these creatures that have such unique ways of interacting with the world around them, and they just have this aura of mystery around you, or around them. So I'm feeling like this is kind of your energy, Capricorn. In a way, you might be coming across to others as like kind of mysterious, or people might in your life be wondering what you're thinking, or kind of not really able to just immediately and easily relate to like the changes that you're going through. And if that's the case, I want you to just use this reading as validation and permission that even if you feel like misunderstood a little bit by the world around you, it's okay. That's part of this process for you, and it's okay if you actually go within to develop this stronger relationship with yourself. And maybe that is also like the function of you kind of feeling misunderstood in some ways, is because like the emphasis or the energy, the magnetism is like find this truth for you. Don't feel like you need to weigh it against like external standards, you know, which is something that you can do from time to time. I mean, we all can. We learn and adapt to life by measuring ourselves by outside external standards. That's what we're kind of trained to do. So when we have these periods of time where we're like feeling kind of misunderstood, or feeling kind of in the dark, or feeling like we want to just keep things to ourselves and kind of sit in this more yin energy, it's actually a good self-development time period. You can come to a lot of really clear conclusions within yourself about what you really, like what's really true about you, I want to say. So maybe there's like a few things that you can come up with this month that are just unequivocally true about you. In any situation, you know, you just know these like 3 or 4 core things about yourself that are just absolute truth. And, you know, that maybe even people who know you would confirm that. And something about like having that self-knowledge or having that conviction about who you are can help you to work with this energy and to kind of, I want to say like usher in the next phase, because you're kind of, this is nighttime energy. So the night is kind of what's in between, you know, the days, if that makes sense. And the days are between the nights, obviously. But I feel like from your perspective, you're seeing this period in time as like a transition, you know? And so the next thing is going to come in, and when it does, you're going to have this deeper understanding of self that's generated by self, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at your cards. We've got the Fool, Justice, High Priestess, and the Eight of Swords. So funny how these cards are speaking so directly to everything that we just talked about. 10 of Wands, Page of Cups, Knight of Swords, and 8 of Pentacles. Beautiful. So, couple of things. The first half of the month, your birthday season, by the way, so happy birthday to those of you Capricorn suns out there. But the first thing that really stands out is that the first, like basically give or take half of the month is very like prominent and very transformational and powerful for you. So that could translate into being challenged, right? Because a lot of times when we are sort of going through these really powerful transformations that make us so much stronger and so much more clear within ourselves and successful in our lives, sometimes that process is a process of being forged in fire, right? So you could be feeling a little bit of that. But you have these 3 majors in the beginning of this reading. You've got the Fool, Justice, and then the High Priestess. And then that's followed by the 8 of Swords, which again, Priestess and the 8 of Swords is most definitely that sense of needing to go within in order to get the answers, which is exactly what we were seeing in the meditation. So what I get from the first part of the month is that you're kind of going into the year of 2020, and with the Fool, it's like you're going in with the intention to kind of maybe go on a new adventure or start something new in your life with the Fool. You're also setting the intention, maybe consciously or unconsciously, to be wholly authentic in that journey. Like in this onset of a new adventure, what you're craving really is to be spontaneous in life and to be spontaneously you, spontaneously weird, you know, spontaneously able to be mobile as well. Some of you might be looking at your life situation and thinking, I'm ready to change this, or I'm ready to find a new job, or I'm ready to, you know, leave this relationship, or I'm ready to disclose, you know, my spiritual beliefs, or, you know, I'm ready to be more of kind of more expressive of an aspect of myself in life. It could be, you know, anything along those lines. And Justice is kind of like the sense of like where the rubber meets the road with this. Whatever your intention is in terms of this new adventure that you want to go on, or like the better feelings that you want to have, the more spontaneity that you want to have, as you start to engage more with life in this way, your life actually like starts responding back to you and reflecting back to you. I guess I want to say like not the consequences, but for some of you it could feel like consequences, but it's just the reflection of that aspect of you that you're bringing out. So if it's a fun, like spontaneous aspect of you, you could be starting to see people either relating to you in a different way, or you could be starting to see just more clearly like the boundaries and the expectations and the maybe even limitations of your reality, because you're taking this freer heart, or you're taking this attitude of joy, and then the situations in your life are starting to now look different to you because you're taking this other perspective, and this other approach. And so that could cause a little bit of like the noise I want to make is like you're kind of just thinking, okay, I need to pull back a second, and now that I have this new information, I need to really go within myself and figure out kind of what I really need to do to move myself forward. Like, this is radical personal responsibility that you're taking here with the High Priestess and the Eight of Swords. Now, these cards are coming up in the second week of January, which is that week where I was already talking about earlier. The 10th, we have that eclipse, the lunar eclipse in Cancer. And we also have the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which is happening on January 12th. So it's like 2 days. I mean, basically this lunar eclipse is opposing that conjunction already. So this is a very, very transformational energy for you. It happens to be along your first house and seventh house axes, symbolically speaking. Which is relationships. It is relationships and partnerships, and even in some like older texts, like astrology texts, you'll see the seventh house is also associated with enemies. So you could have some real things coming through for you around that time that relate to either like people that you're in very, very close relationship with, and accepting and releasing any like difficulties in those relationships. But also it could be like if you're a Capricorn who's just like, I really don't normally have adversaries in my life. I don't ever have enemies, but I have this person who's just really challenging me, and we just don't see eye to eye, or like you're having a struggle with that person. There could be like real developments and changes in that relationship, which is more of a difficult kind of energy. With the Eight of Swords, you could be feeling like the situation with an adversarial force in your life, it gets almost to this checkmate point where there's almost nothing you can do except just accept the situation as it is. But then there's this form of liberation that comes with that, with the High Priestess, right? Because when you fully accept something that you can't change or control, like someone else's behavior, that opens up this whole inner realm, which is the realm of the High Priestess. It opens up this whole inner realm of what I do have influence over, and how I can choose to think about the situation in a more balanced way. So you're going to have to go within to find that. And some of you, like I said before, could be experiencing this not necessarily as difficulties with an adversarial force in your life, but it could also just be a deep push, or a deep sense of an inner conviction that what you need is more time to yourself, more to be able to kind of develop your own working hypothesis for what life means to you. And that might mean pulling back a little bit and getting space from the external markers of significance that you use to derive your arbitrary set of values, in life. Like these values that you get from looking at external standards and thinking that that's what you have to measure things by. You might have to pull back a little bit from relationships or situations in your life that kind of want to encourage that, like focus, you know? And that can definitely come through in relationships. A lot of times we want to be who the other person wants us to be in the relationship. And so there could be something here with that, you know, of really like pulling your energy back in and being like, this is my relationship with self. And that is the most important thing to me right now. So that is what I'm seeing as some potential kind of psycho-spiritual things that you could be working on, you know, thoughts that you're having, beliefs that you're questioning, value judgments that you're going to be changing around this eclipse, and the second week of January as a whole, I really feel. The third week, we've got the 10 of Wands and the Page of Cups. So the message here is actually pretty simple. I think in the third week of January, you might be tempted to overwork yourself, Capricorn, and that's something that you can definitely be guilty of. All the signs can be, but you in particular, you can definitely overwork yourself, and you can be a little bit removed from how that ends up making you feel afterwards. Because if you really value whatever it is that you're working towards, you can have a tendency as a sign, and I'm speaking in generalities here, but as a sign, you can have a tendency to kind of detach yourself, I guess, from the emotional and physical ramifications of the activities that you're forcing yourself to continue with. So you can end up feeling like, gosh, you know, I'm really, really burnt out, and I didn't realize it until I got home and sat down. And then I realized I just kind of wanted to cry. Or you just felt like, oh, I could just lay down and sleep for 2 days after this day of work I had, but I didn't know that. Or sitting down to eat dinner and not realizing how incredibly underfed and undernourished and starving you are, and you start eating and you just realize like your hunger actually hits you. That's the kind of energy that we see in these cards. It is like, I'm pushing myself, but what will benefit that situation is checking in more often. You know, it's pretty simple. I think with the Page of Cups, it's like the answer is already there. The answer, or like the remedy that you need, is already there. It's just about paying attention to it and paying attention to how you feel, and maybe also having a little bit more fun. So try and not overbook yourself in that third week of January. See if you can schedule some playtime. Okay, the last week of January, we've got the Knight of Swords and the Eight of Pentacles. So one of the things that I do see here, in general with these cards coming up together, is that you could be feeling really motivated at the end of the month towards a particular project or goal, and you could be feeling really like you're making a lot of progress. So you might start, for example, you might have started like a education program by then, and you're like, yes, this is the information I needed, like this is awesome, and you're just diving headfirst into it, and really actually seeing that you do understand the information and that you're able to kind of master it, and it's starting to happen, like that you're getting better at it already. It's like a very quick thing. That could be a theme for you. Some of you, because this Knight of Swords is facing the other direction and this guy is facing the Pentacles, there could be a message that you want to focus on something, but it may be a distraction. Okay, so just be mindful of this. You're going to have to be self-aware, because this is a general reading, so I can't say what it is for you individually, Capricorn, but it could also be that you really want to put a lot of energy and you want to be impulsive and you want to dive into something, but something else that you've already been working on and mastering would be better for you to focus on in the long run, okay? So there could be a little bit of that in this reading, where it's like, okay, you know what? Yes, pursue this. This is a curiosity. This is an excitement for sure. Go for it. But you need to also continue with what you've been doing and continue building that. It could be that there's also like some kind of work opportunity, because sometimes I see the Knight of Swords as like a news deliverer. So there could be news about like a work opportunity or a financial opportunity coming through, and you would just have to kind of use that information to your best advantage. But it looks good. So Capricorn, those are your messages today. I hope this reading is helpful to you. I hope it gives you something useful to think about as we go through this upcoming lunar eclipse and the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, and just getting your feet wet in the waters of 2020 and really diving into this year and making it the best that you can possibly make it. Thank you so much for being here and watching these videos to the end, those of you who stick around. If you would like to let me know that you're still here, you can leave a little star emoji below, or just put some stars, like write the word stars if you don't have emojis. I would absolutely love to give your comment a little heart, and I just love getting those from you guys. It always makes me so happy. So sending you so much love and gratitude. Please go ahead and thumbs up this video as well and send it to a Capricorn who you know, who you think could benefit from these messages. Take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.